Welcome to the V.I.B.E Living Podcast, a podcast that talks about topics for women over 40. You know, that time of your life that many call midlife. That time of life when you can really vibe, be vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and emerged. Join me, Linus Woods Mullins, certified holistic living and wellness expert for women over 40, as I talk about a variety of topics that address the wellness of the mind, body, and spirit for women over 40. Remember, midlife doesn't mean no life. Midlife is an opportunity to increase your self-love, your self-care, and your self-worth. It's your time to be vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and emerged. It's your time to vibe. So come on, let's vibe. Welcome to the V.I.B.E Living Podcast. I'm glad you are here to spend some time with me talking about all that we can do to live a vibe life, a life that is vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and emerged. I feel part of being vibe is maintaining a positive mindset. I know these days it's easier said than done. It feels like such a Herculean effort to change our mindset, to begin to think differently, more positively, even when everything else around us is so negative. And that is why my guest, Stephanie Mearse, decided she had to do an incredibly young thing at a young age. At the age of 7, she was homeless and on the streets. And at that very young age, she decided that she wanted to change her mindset. She said, I didn't want to live this way anymore, so I decided not to. Is it really that simple? Can we just decide to change our mindset and then life gets better? We will talk about that with Stephanie and how her changing her mindset led her on a journey to wellness and a vibe life. Stephanie will be joining us a little bit later in the podcast, but first, let's talk about getting our bodies moving in a way that helps us to be more positive and in tune with our minds. It's time for a Body Bella segment. You know, about 10 years ago, I was just being introduced to yoga. Prior to that, I was all about the art of dance. I had studied dance for years, even danced professionally for a short time, and thought dance was the best way for me to stay fit. But I came to realize that there was one component of dance that was missing for me. I mean, dance is freeing, it's spiritual, even uplifting. But in terms of relaxation, well, it's not quite the same as the art of yoga. I found in my midlife years that yoga has many benefits. It has helped me maintain a flexibility and a strong body, but specifically, it has helped me to maintain a strong mind. In midlife, yoga does help with your mindset by teaching you to be more present and teaching you the art of mindfulness, which is so important as we age. If you haven't tried yoga, here are some reasons why you should. Midlife is a time of true awakening. Some call it a midlife crisis. I don't know. Many women are afraid of this part of life, and either they hide from it or they just don't want to talk about it. But it's important that we recognize the awakening, the spiritual awareness that's more prominent as we age. Yoga can help you connect more with your mind, your body, and your spirit. It is one of those powerful aspects of yoga. Yoga can also help reduce stress, that special kind of stress that seems to ring more prominent in midlife. Yoga can help to reduce the cortisol that has a tendency to cause health issues in midlife, while at the same time reduce one of the causes of high cortisol, which is stress. When you get rid of that stressed out feeling, you think more clearly. Your focus is better, and the ability to recognize a necessity to change your mindset grows. And here's a bonus. That thickening you're experiencing, that weight gain that seems to come from nowhere, well, can be a lot better regulated when you're doing yoga. Your body will perform better. Your immune system and endocrine system, which controls hormones, will be healthier because your mood elevation is so much better. Also, your body works more efficiently. You get more flexible over time, your balance improves, your blood pressure will begin to lower over time. Those nasty side effects that you've been experiencing for menopause can lessen when you're doing yoga. Hot flashes will decrease, maybe even go away. And insomnia, irritability will lessen overall. And still yet, your bone health can improve too. There are those who have a yoga practice well into their 80s and 90s. And here's the even better news. It's not too late to start. I started doing yoga at 51. Many people start doing yoga in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. The moves are low impact and easy on the knees and joints. So consider yoga when it comes to reducing your stress and changing your mindset. So, okay, we covered how the body can stay in shape. And we've also talked about how your mindset can improve through yoga. But what can you do to connect more with your spirit while enhancing your meditation or your connection to your mind and body? Time for a spiritual bliss segment. Just like yoga for the body, meditation is wonderful for connecting with your mind, body, and spirit. I started practicing meditation about 10 years ago. It was difficult at first because I wanted to go for perfection. I started right away at 30 minutes every day. Well, of course, that was a disaster. I totally failed. I mean, I had racing thoughts and all of that. But I eventually learned that meditation is called a meditation practice for a reason. It takes practice and does not happen overnight. Meditation is worth practicing because of all the wonderful benefits of doing meditation on a regular basis. Meditation is excellent for stress reduction, and that's a good thing because stress can make you sick. We discovered that one. And meditation can also improve your bodily functions. When you are a calm and in a relaxed state, your blood pressure lowers, your blood sugar may be lower, and your hormones that may affect how your heart pumps and your blood clots have a tendency to be more stable. Meditation can also help you to focus your thoughts and energy. Just take a few minutes to meditate can help you with being calmer and help you with more organized mindset and make you more productive. Meditation can also help with sleep issues. One method that I use to get to sleep is to lie flat on my back, focus on relaxing one body part at a time. I start from my head and go all the way down to my feet. And I start to relax more and I do go to sleep, fairly quickly. Of course, now full disclosure, I use a bit of lavender essential oil under my nose, which also helps too. Meditation can also help you to connect in a spiritual way. You can gain a sense of calm and peace, allowing you to dig deeper when it comes to connecting with your spirit, that inner voice. I call it the Holy Spirit. Others call it that voice in their head or their subconscious. Whatever you call it, that knowing that we were all born with gets stronger when you take time to be quiet, to quiet your mind, to quiet your thoughts, and just be. There are varying forms of meditation, but the experts agree that meditation can enhance your health. So, with a healthy mind and a fit body, what else is needed to help change our mindset? It's amazing as we go through these experiences of 2020, how we not only want to make sure we are taking care of ourselves spiritually and definitely physically, but it's also important for us to make sure that we're taking care of our mind. And that's why I'm so excited today to be talking about our next segment, Mind Moves. Yes, mind moves. I really believe that one of the main areas of wellness is taking care of our mind, how we think, what we think about, how we speak about those things, basically our mindset. And today I'm excited to have an expert when it comes to mindset, and that's Stephanie Mearse. Stephanie Mearse is an author. She also is a motivational speaker and radio show and podcast host. And she has worked with a real estate management company since 2014. She has a BA in business management and an MBA. And she is passionate about marketing, sales, success, and maintaining that mindset. She's a published author of Women of Perfection, Perfectly Imperfect. And she talks a lot about how in today's society, women are expected to be perfect when it comes to their Pinterest, their social media. But the reality is that we are killing ourselves with the need for obtaining this perfection. And in her book, she talks about that. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today, about the whole idea of perfection, also the fear that comes with trying to achieve perfection, and what we can do to be stronger and to be more successful and to have a much more positive mindset. Stephanie, welcome to Vibe Living. It's wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Well, thank you. Tell me a little bit about you and how you became so passionate about the idea of mindset and success, especially when it comes to helping women.
Absolutely. So it is very much my opinion, and also everything I've ever seen is that if you have the right mindset, if you're heading in a really positive direction, that you have a more you are going to be more successful. And so I'm going to share a little bit about myself and why I believe that, and my story, if you want to call it that, but my life. Okay. So as a child, I was a child on the streets with my drug addicted mother, and I saw some really rough things happen as a child. Everything from gang member issues to sex trafficking to drug dealers to, I mean, we lived with drug dealers most of the time that I was younger. And so, or on the streets, and so, or in cars. I remember watching a Hallmark movie or something. I want to say it was a Hallmark movie. It was a Christmas Hallmark movie because they seem perfect, right? And I was watching that and I was like, gosh, like that's the life I want. I don't want to be in this life. This is not fun. This is not what I want. And so I called my grandmother at 7.5 years old and remember saying, I want out of here. I want us to get out of here, get us away from here. This is not okay. So I called her, and then I ended up testifying against my mother in court at 8 years old. And with that mindset change of just watching a movie, of seeing, this, what I'm seeing currently is so not normal. This is not an okay life. To, granted, that was the best version of perfection, right? Because everything in Hallmark is like, everything's beautiful and gorgeous and everyone gets along, which we all know family doesn't always get along, right?
Right, right.
But at 7 years old, I said that just looked a lot better than what I was dealing with. So when I testified against my mother in court, I was then adopted by my aunt and uncle almost immediately afterward. And what's really great is by making that decision at 8 years old, and it massively changed my life. And it's because my mindset changed, because I saw what I didn't like and went for what I wanted. So what's really great is every since then I saw, um, you know, every single time I am putting on new goals, new ideas, new thought processes, I love to take things from a macro level of ideas, dreams, thought processes, to bringing it into a micro version and being able to utilize those actual daily goals to actually get to that macro dream. And so what's really cool is even at 8 years old, I was doing very similar things. And I remember thinking, gosh, like this is the life I want. What do I need to do to achieve those things? And I would start reading books. And I wanted to be a lawyer for a while there and realized I'm not a very good arguer. Or debater, I should say, is a better way to put it. It's really fun. So I started reading law books at 8 years old. And, it's really funny because that mindset change just changed everything about my life. And I'm so thankful because it changed me and my sister's life, actually, because she went with me. And it's really cool because for me, that mindset change did change my life massively, but I'm seeing it in other people too who are choosing to get this out of their way of, I'm feeling stuck, I'm unhappy with my life, I'm stuck in my weight, I'm stuck in my career, I'm stuck, whatever they're stuck in currently. And I'm watching people's mindsets change and go into a more positive direction. And it's really cool because as an adult, I see it in a very different viewpoint than as a child. And it's really cool to be able to help those people to get from, I'm stuck, I'm unhappy, to, wow, I'm making changes to make myself happy every single day, every single week, every single month. And eventually they will be happy because they've made those changes daily.
That's really amazing, your story, in terms of making that mindset change. How does one get motivated to do that? Because you're right, mindset change involves almost all areas of our lives. If you really want to make a change in your life, the first step is deciding that you want to make that change. So, what is it that women need to do? How do they get motivated to make that change?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I've noticed that will help make the changes, well, first of all, when you see the problem, so I actually have an acronym called HEART. Okay. And it's something that helped me to overcome and get motivated to make changes. Okay. And the first thing was H, which is heal. So you need to look at what the problem is and really analyze it to its fullest ability to see, okay, so this is the problem. Here's how to, here's what I'm dealing with. I'm unhappy, and really figure out how to heal your heart in the situation. Your E, evaluation, so heart E is evaluation. Really go into a deep evaluation of where you're at currently. What's the situation that you've been in, and how are we going to evaluate to potentially get out, right? And then putting in a plan in place to be able to get out of that situation. And then A is action, right? So because without action we can't do anything. So once we've made those changes, so once we see the problem, we've evaluated it and put a plan in place, we now take action and use that plan that we created to actually build the correct steps of motivation and of action, and the right ways of going to that next level for ourselves. Our next one is R, is reevaluate. Make sure that what you're doing is actually what you're trying to achieve. So maybe your action and your evaluation, your actual plan may not be what exactly you're trying to achieve in the long run, and you just didn't see it the way that it's actually planning out or going forward. So reevaluate, make sure that you're heading in the direction you're wanting, and then if you're not heading exactly what you're wanting to do, make changes now, pivot a little bit, like we've had to do recently within this pandemic. Is really pivoting everything that we need to pivot. And then T for heart. So T is all about being thankful. Be thankful to yourself that you actually chose to make these changes, that you actually are making the changes, and that you are moving forward to make yourself happy.
That last one about being thankful, or and what I call gratitude, because we really need to acknowledge ourselves as women and celebrate ourselves as women when we have successes. I think a lot of times we have a tendency to think that our friends or our family or our significant others are going to celebrate it when we make a change, or sometimes we look to them, our expectation is in that. But there's a danger in that because, first of all, people can't read our minds. They
Mhm.
certainly don't understand what our feelings are, and they've got their own lives going on. So when we reach a milestone or make that change and we're all excited and we're wondering, okay, aren't you guys excited? I mean, they are going to try to support you and be there for you, but many times they don't get it because they're not you.
Yep.
All the more reason for you to really work on, and I'm just preaching to the choir because this is something that I've just started within the last couple of years, really work on learning how to celebrate myself and celebrate the things that I've accomplished. If I were to wait, and my children are usually very good about that, even though sometimes they may not always understand exactly why I'm so excited about that one, you know, um, statement on my wall that I put,
Mhm.
but I work from home.
Mhm.
And I, would always run into my husband's office or the dinner where it's, and he's like, okay, well, that's great. It's never the response that I want,
Yes.
because it's not happening to him and he doesn't get the building blocks that got to that point. So
Yes.
I learned, okay, I'm going to learn how to celebrate myself. And it's really interesting because it did take some learning. I wonder, what is your opinion? Why do you think it's so hard for women to celebrate their accomplishments and to celebrate themselves?
Absolutely. So one of the things that it's funny that you're asking that question, because I asked myself the exact same question the other day. I was like, because even though I'm saying these things, I'm working on these things every single day. Because again, nobody's perfect. Um, you know, one of the hardest ones I deal with is being thankful to myself too, that I actually am making these changes in what I'm doing, and being excited about my accomplishments, and actually rewarding myself, right? And so I realized, I was like, gosh, why do I do this? Why do I have such a hard time with this? And it was because it was built in me at such a young age. And I think most women, that we're supposed to be givers, we're supposed to be giving everything we can and helping everybody, and taking care of the kids and taking care of everything, like literally everything. And that if we do anything for ourselves, it's almost like we were instilled that it's selfish to do something for ourselves. And so the reality though is that if we have an empty cup, we cannot give to others. We can't give nothing to somebody else. But if we fill our cup, then we can actually give so much more. And so that's something that I have struggled with pretty massively too, is being thankful for myself. And that's actually why I started to do me days, because what I was doing is I was just going and going and going and just keep going and going. And I have a bad habit of going 100 miles an hour, and then like just crashing, usually getting sick or something, because I just have so much energy and it just goes for force, and then all of a sudden I get sick. So I started to take these me days to basically thank myself for just what I was accomplishing, whatever those things were at the time. And my me days really are just kind of, I at first I was like, gosh, everyone's gonna think I'm being so selfish and all of these things. But really, when I did them, I was a better mother afterward. It's only 24 hours, but I just go to a hotel and read whatever I want to read, or journal for hours, and just drink coffee next to the lake and just relax. Like it's so simple, so silly, I know, but the reality is taking that time.
No, I think that's so necessary. And you're absolutely right. Women play many, many roles. We're the nurturers, we're the mothers, the sisters, the daughters, we're the teachers, we're that friend, we're the neighbor, we're the church member, we're the co-worker. We're all these different roles. And we are pouring out all the time to the best of our ability. And then when it finally comes our turn, we don't have much left. And
Yeah.
that's where the resentment and bitterness and
Mhm.
frustration and anger begins to come in. And we're wondering, why are we feeling this way? Well, we're feeling this way because we've given so much of ourselves that we haven't taken out the time, the me day, I love that, the me day, to pour back in to ourselves.
Yeah.
So, how can a woman begin to put themselves on the front burner? How can they begin? What's the first step? What do they need to do to start incorporating a me day?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways you can do this, as ladies, because I know a lot of us don't have a lot of extra time. So we may not be able to get away for a full 24 hours. That just may not be physically possible, right? So what I would suggest for those people who just really can't take a full 24 hours for themselves is really start to make choices in the morning that will make it to where you have a positive day in the morning, each and every morning. And if you're waking up as soon as when the kids wake up, usually you're not, or whatever, you have to go right to work or whatever that is, you're not able to really start to fill your cup in the morning. So you're already starting with a cup half empty. So if you wake up in the morning a little bit earlier, before you actually have to wake up with the kids or work or whatever, wake up an hour earlier than you normally would, and take that hour to meditate, pray, work out, go for a run. I mean, some people don't like that, but you know what? If you accomplish something like a run in the mornings, a little 20-minute run, you feel like, wow, I accomplished something today. And it's almost like that perpetual motion that goes forward, and positivity. The other thing I really suggest is also journaling in the mornings. Journal out anything that you feel is negative. Journal out any weird dreams you had or whatever. Journal out everything you don't want, and then start to picture what you want for your day to look like.
I love that idea of journaling and getting it out.
Mhm.
So many of us are locked down, especially these days because we're trying to be so positive for everybody else. But we have to have a place for some of those negative emotions, frustrations, and just in some case, heartache. We have to have a place for those to go. And some of us may not be able to get to the therapist right away. Maybe the therapist is closed down like everyone else, or perhaps there's just not enough money there for that kind of a thing. But you do have to find a way to get that out. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to agree with you. But you had one more thing you were going to say.
Oh yes, and then the last thing that I would highly suggest is starting to picture that day of what you want that day to look like. Because if you already see in your mind, oh, that person's going to sign that contract, which brings me in $100,000 or whatever those things are. Picture in your mind what exactly you want to happen for that day, and it's amazing how fast that those things will end up having or will be achieved. It's less likely if you're already seeing it in your head over and over and over again. You're more likely to achieve whatever you're seeing because you've already visualized what it is. So if you're doing these things each and every morning, you're already starting to fill your cup because you're taking that hour to yourself, which you weren't taking before. And then if you get that 24 hours to yourself, really, just get away, turn your phone off. That's one of my biggest ones because I get a million phone calls a day. And turn your phone off and just do whatever makes you happy, whatever that may be. Maybe drinking an entire bottle of wine and reading. I don't know what that is, but I'm telling you, just do whatever it is that makes you happy for that 24 hours where you don't have to care for anybody else but yourself. And just really just enjoy. My thing is silence. I don't get it very often. Enjoy that silence. So
Yes.
that for me was really important, and it actually was a huge game changer for me too in my mental and emotional stance, and really helping me get to another level.
Yes, you're absolutely right about silence. There's a lot of value in silence. Many times, what happens if we allow ourselves to slow down and be silent, that's when the downloads start coming.
Mhm.
That's when you start hearing, I call it the Holy Spirit, but others might call it their subconscious or the little man in their head or whatever. That's when you begin hearing direction and hearing ideas and even solutions to problems. But so many times, women don't slow down quite enough to really hear. In fact, I've heard women say that they're kind of afraid to be silent because of all the stuff that comes in.
Mhm.
Where do you think that comes from? In fact, I know you talk about fear and how that plays a role in terms of our mindset. What's the whole deal with fear, and how can we begin to replace our fears with something that's more positive?
Absolutely. So fear for me is something that actually was paralyzing. So from all the horrible childhood things that had happened to me, I was afraid of a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff. And I didn't realize how bad my fear was until after my mentor, after this was about 8 years ago, 7 and 8 years ago, he told me that fear was paralyzing me. And I was like, no, it's fine. It's good. I'm good. And then he was like, no, 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 go write a list of all of your fears, every single one, down to spiders to, whatever. And so I did, and it was 3 pages long of fear. I honestly had no idea. I was so afraid of so much stuff. And then once I had written down all of those fears, we tackled the first two right away. And those were uh, one was, so I was afraid of heights so much so that I wouldn't even go up a ladder because I was so afraid of heights. And the other one was planes. I was so afraid of planes that every single time I would go on a flight anywhere, I would laugh hysterically and have the entire plane laughing either at me or with me. I'm not really sure, uh, but it was a reaction of mass fear. And so that how I basically jumped at this fear thing and really wanted to overcome it was I ended up going skydiving with my team. And I remember thinking, okay, well, I've officially gone crazy. Like, Lord, please help me. Don't let me die today. And as we're going up to this 9,000 feet, there was no door on the plane. And I was a tandem jump. So I was attached to this guy that was twice my size. I couldn't even stand up when he stood up. He was so big. He just carried me like a child. And, and as we were going up to the door, I remember thinking, okay, God, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. Like, I'm really afraid. And then I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And he like pushed us out the door. And I was like, oh, Lord. And as we were falling, it was one of the prettiest things I'd ever seen in my entire life. It was one of the most exhilarating things as we're doing flips and all of this stuff. And I remember thinking, What was I so afraid of? This is amazing.
It is amazing, isn't it?
It
I
is.
had a similar experience years and years ago when I was in my 20s, and I was living in the Bay Area, and I happened to be dating a guy who was a paratrooper,
Oh,
and he liked to jump as a hobby as well. And he dared me to do it. And of course, back then I was taking dares because I was young, dumb, and full of whatever. So I went, but it was liberating. Haven't gone since then, but it
mhm,
was really liberating because it was very scary. And I basically was pushed out, of
mhm.
the thing. And I had gone through the training on how to pull, how to fall, and everything else. But once I got out there, I didn't want to go down. I said, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, because you're in the middle of the air, you can turn flips and
Yeah.
do all this other stuff, and you're slowly going down bit by bit by bit. And during that time, being able to see the world from a different perspective, I now have that memory, and I can go back to that at any time. And because it's so silent up there,
Mhm.
it is so quiet. And whenever I want to experience that quietness, I take myself back there to kind of still my spirit. In fact, and I heard you mention about visualization in terms of visualizing what it is that you want to have for the day. Visualization is so key and so powerful when you are trying to calm your thoughts and minds, those fearful thoughts, those anxious thoughts that come running, those, speeding thoughts back and forth. If you could visualize something that ushers in peace for you, like a place that you've been, or maybe a smell that you can remember that brought you peace. Maybe it's music, something that can help you slow your thoughts down and put you in a place where you're able to quiet those thoughts and really hear the other messages that you need to hear, because we certainly have plenty of negative messages going on in our head.
Yeah. Yep. That's so true. That is
Yes.
so, so true. It's amazing.
So, what is your advice for women right now, given what's been going on in 2020? There's been a lot of negativity, news coming in from every outlet, all kinds of points of view, and it can be overwhelming. What is your advice in terms of women maintaining a positive mindset during these particular times?
Absolutely. So, you as a person, 90% of our world is how we react, right? So if something's coming at us, what there's a lot of things coming at us right now as women, that are overwhelming. There is no doubts that it can be very, very overwhelming. Okay, so let's start there. Women, we understand it's overwhelming. We've decided, we've chosen not to be overwhelmed by the situations coming at us. So for that mindset, you have to choose each and every morning, if that news is on your phone or on the TV is starting to overwhelm you and feel like it's taking control, and that emotion starting to come out, it's time to turn that TV off, turn off your phone, and really stop and evaluate, how is this affecting me and how can I make this better? Because fear is really, honestly, fear is all about a lack of control. So if you have a lack of control of something, like this lack of control of the pandemic, like the lack of control of the markets falling, the lack of the control of the rioting, like there's a lot of a lack of control right now. And so we as women can start to evaluate, well, that fear, that lack of control can be mitigated by creating a plan, by starting to set up something to where you feel that you have some form of control, and that fear will subside over time. It's really amazing how that can work. And we as women can make that choice each and every morning, to start that morning with those positive affirmations, those positive things that make us to where we are taking and filling up our cup in the morning, instead of watching the news, checking our emails, checking Facebook. Really do the things that make you, in the morning, positive. And it's amazing how the rest of your day will be pretty positive throughout the day.
That's true. What you think about, what you ponder on, truly does come to pass. And being able to take your day and start it in a positive way helps to influence how the rest of your day goes. I know how I feel when I don't call into my prayer line. I have a prayer line that I've belonged to for now almost 11 years. It's
Oh,
every morning, 7 days a week at 4:45 in the morning, and it's amazing when I don't do that. I feel kind of weird. And this prayer line has been going on for 30 plus years. And
Wow.
some of the original founding members are still on. And being able to pray with such powerful prayer warriors and just focusing on, something other than myself and my issues and my needs and entering into intercessory prayer makes me feel like I'm putting some kind of light, some kind of positivity into the world. And I think starting your day in a positive way not only impacts you, but it impacts your relationships. It impacts your outcomes in terms of your company, your business, and the things that you're doing to earn money, basically, your job, whatever that is. And it impacts how you view the world, how you encode the world. I try to stay in that bubble throughout the day. And in order to do that, I do certain things to not let the bubble penetrate. I've got a lot of visual stuff on my walls to remind me, who God says I am.
Yeah.
And I listen to subliminal messaging music and things like that. I stop in the middle of the day and I read affirmations or some kind of positive book to kind of keep my spirits up. It is an effort. It's an ongoing process. In fact, you mentioned that neither one of us are perfect. We are an ongoing project, but we're all in the state of becoming. This is all about the journey and the
Exactly.
tools that we learn along the way that are, going to help us vibe. In fact, I always like to ask all my guests that come on Vibe Living, how do you vibe? How do you stay vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and emerged?
Honestly, the way what I would honestly say is, I really love to sleep. So I get like 10 to 12 hours of sleep every single night. And so that sleep literally makes it to where I have a crazy amount of energy throughout the day. um, and so I want to say that that's what helps me kind of vibe and get that next level is all of that sleep at night and drinking lots of water. It's amazing how that can massively just really make my energy level be really high and really exciting, and also my passion. So I'm literally heading toward each and every one of my passions right now in different ways. And as long as you're passionate about something, like I'm super passionate about what I do, it's amazing how the energy just is it's constantly flowing. There is no like, oh, I don't really feel like checking my emails today, because it's not I'm checking my emails. I'm saying, okay, who am I helping today? What can I be doing to
Right.
help people?
Right, exactly, exactly. What blessing is in the email today instead of what curse? Yes.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
exactly. I get that. Well, for people who want to find out more about you and what you do and your services, I'm looking at your website. It's great. How can they reach you?
Yes, so please contact us at www.stephaniemears.com. And we also have a phone number that is in Beverly Hills and an office in Beverly Hills as well. And one of my biggest things is we also have Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and Twitter as well. Our phone number, if you're interested, is 424-422-0300.
Fantastic. And I know you're available for speaking engagements, and you just wrote a book called Women of Perfection, Perfectly Imperfect. So definitely go to her website. That's stephaniemearse.com. And also her website and her social media are going to be embedded in the show page. If you are actually looking at the show page, go there and take a look and follow her on all her social media. Buy her book. I love the title, Women of Perfection, Perfectly Imperfect. And you can also see her on the Hope and Wellness Summit that we did a few months back, which was wonderful, where she gave an empowering message around fear. Stephanie, it's been wonderful getting to know you. And I'm so glad that you were part of the Hope and Wellness Summit and also a guest on Vibe Living. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to all of you who are listening today. I love to vibe, and I love it when I get a chance to talk to exciting women who are doing things to help people to be well in their mind, body, and spirit. Because isn't that what this is all about? Every single day when I wake up, I always ask God, okay, what is it that you would have me to do today? And Stephanie's absolutely right. When you're pursuing things that you're passionate about, when you're pursuing things with that energy, with that passion that you're feeling for the thing that you're pursuing, it's amazing how things work out for you. I have a friend who always talks about everything always works out for me. That's her affirmation. And you know what? It's true. Everything does always work out for you, because if it wasn't working out, you wouldn't be listening to this broadcast right now. You'd be somewhere else, definitely. So definitely Everything is always working out for you. And I just want to thank Stephanie again for coming out and sharing her wisdom. And all of you, remember that no matter what you're doing, no matter where on the journey you are in life, it's okay to vibe. You want to vibe. You want to be vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and emerged. Please share this broadcast with someone else. Go ahead and follow me on all my social media. Just Google Lennis Woods Mullins, and you'll be able to click and follow me on Instagram and Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you again next time. And remember, don't forget the vibe. Thank you for listening to the Vibe Living Podcast. Please feel free to download, rate, share, and like the show. To find out more about living a Vibe life, go to my website at wellnesswoman40.com or email me at vibelivingpodcast@gmail.com. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to vibe.